Hey guys, how's everybody doing? This is Craig here from Bass Lessons Melbourne, and today I am joined by Jarman Donohue for our player profile video.
G'day Craig.
How are you?
Good mate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming round. It's cool that you brought all your toys and gizmos to make some noise.
Yeah.
So you're in a band in Melbourne called Men Imitating Machines, is that right?
That's correct. We're a two-piece, so we use Midi drums and Midi bass. This is my Industrial Radio Midi bass.
Yeah.
It's a pretty future bass.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
Mm.
So how long has the band been going?
About 10 years now.
Okay.
Just sort of, it's been a long road.
Yeah.
We're still doing it and we love it.
And what were you doing before that?
Okay, I've been in and out of funk bands and metal bands and, you know...
Funk metal bands.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had a funk metal band.
Thanks, 90s.
Bit of jazz. I sort of learned, my first instrument I started playing was trombone.
Okay. In high school kind of thing?
Yeah, year 7, signed up for trombone because it was the loudest thing I could get. And that sort of got me reading bass clef music.
Yeah.
Wanted to play guitar, old story. Some guys were forming a band, they needed a bass player. I'm like, I'll do it. So I went and bought myself a bass guitar. I got it off a mate actually. And yeah, just fell in love with the bass. Yeah.
Cool. What was your first bass?
It was this really bad Japanese, it's called Esquire, like a 335 copy, kind of ugly, but you know, I loved it.
It's your first bass, you gotta love it.
Unfortunately I've sold it, and the guy who's got it has still got it. Luke, I want it back, mate.
Really? But you said it was awful.
Yeah, but it's my first bass. So I just, for nostalgic reasons, I'd love to have it, yeah.
So that was like 2 humbuckers?
Twin humbuckers, chrome, had full body binding, F-holes. It's a bit gaudy, but I loved it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I sold it because I needed the money at the time.
To buy?
Another bass.
That's how it goes, right?
Yeah. But I've stopped doing that. Whenever I buy something now, I like to keep it. And yeah. So my collection's growing.
Nice. So you were getting trombone lessons in school, and that was, I guess, like you said, you're reading bass clef and stuff.
Yeah.
So how quickly did that fall to the wayside and the bass come into play?
I continued studying trombone after high school. In and out of concert bands, like our local community band, I was sort of in that right from the get-go because my dad's a trumpet player.
Right.
And he really encouraged me to play music. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful for that. All my really, really good friends in life are all musicians.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of at the core of my life is music.
Yeah, social circles.
Yep, absolutely.
Travel,
yeah. We've been lucky to tour Europe 3 times now. Yeah. And we're heading back next year. So yeah, really, I feel quite blessed that we've been able to do that.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And some early influences on the bass when you started?
Well, Flea, probably my number one back then.
So this would be like what, 80?
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Suicidal Tendencies, Infectious Grooves, that kind of funky, heavy kind of stuff growing up with long hair and trying to be your heroes.
Was there a bit of a scene for that in Melbourne?
Yeah, there definitely was. There was that sort of new metal thing going on in the late 90s. We were trying to do it.
Well, I mean, we were talking before cameras were on, Super Heist with Drew.
Yes, he was one of my heroes when I was growing up. Sort of, he's a few years older than me, so I was always like going, oh, because he's awesome sound, awesome bass player.
Yeah.
Which hey Drew.
Yeah. So the funk metal thing up until what, early 2000s?
Yes, 2000. Yeah, early 2000s. Then Maddie, the drummer in Men Imitating Machines, we'd been sort of jamming we're trying to make this a live electronic band with 4, 5, 6 people, and we could never get everyone together and this coherent kind of band. But Maddie and I were always there.
Yep.
And we just thought, why don't we just do this by ourselves? So we basically started going, well, how can 2 people make more sounds? We went, well, Midi. So we sort of started looking at ways that we can integrate MIDI into our live setup. So he had this old electronic drum kit. I went out and knocked this bass. I invested in a Roland VB99 with the pickup and started playing around with that.
And had you done any kind of like digital like laptop music or?
No, I'd never really been into electronic music. Never a fan at all.
So
I don't know. It was just something new and cool. I liked some of the sounds that you could get out of synthesizers, and I'm not a keyboard player, because I'm a bass player. I feel comfortable on that sort of fingerboard, and I just looked for ways that I could use my bass and get these really cool sounds. I had all the effects that you could ever, whatever effect came out, I'm like, yeah, I want that.
So you had lots of like stomp boxes.
Yeah, the big pedal board and all that.
The Boss GT.
Yeah, 6B, I think it is.
7 and then 8 and then 9 and then 10.
But once I sort of got that Roland pickup on the bass, that just opened up a absolute limitless palette of sounds. And for what would that been? 2003, I started with 2005, started really getting into the MIDI bass.
So what was the installation for that pickup?
I stuck it on with double-sided tape just near the bridge.
Right.
And it's got like a little cable in the interface.
Yeah.
It's got a 13-pin cable that goes out to your breakout box, I guess.
Yep.
It's quite a cool effects unit as well, but we essentially used it just for the MIDI conversion.
Right.
And it is good to a point, but you can't do fast runs.
Did the box have sounds in it?
Yes.
So that was your synths and everything in the box?
They're kind of synths. It's kind of like emulation.
Right.
So you could actually dial in a Stingray, you could dial in a P-bass, and it was pretty good. Like if you shut your eyes with your headphones on, you get that jazz sound or P-bass sound.
Okay.
And it was pretty good. Just the MIDI conversion was a little bit slow, especially on the E string, really laggy.
Yeah.
Couldn't slap, couldn't do any tapping.
It was pretty early days for that kind of...
Yeah, I mean, Roland had been doing that since the 80s, but...
For bass is difficult.
Yeah, it doesn't translate well with that low E string or B string if you're a 5 or 6 string player. But yeah, used that for probably 5 years or so, and I was just on the internet one night and just Googled MIDI bass, and Industrial Radio came up, and I'm like, these guys are in Sydney. So I rang him up and said, what's the deal with the bass? And just ordered one. Sold my car, bought the bass, and haven't looked back since. I've been lucky enough to become artist with Industrial Radio.
Cool.
I get to go up to Sydney and hang out with the guys every now and again. And
so did you go up to Sydney to get it, or just?
I did. I drove up in my other car, and met Steve Chick, who is an awesome engineer. Like he is next level genius.
I seem to remember them having a thing in Bass Player magazine, or I remember that was the first time I kind of.
Got hip. This technology was used in the PV Cyber bass and the PV MIDI bass.
Right.
So I'm probably not going to see it on the camera, but it's got split frets. Piezo pickups do the triggering. So if I'm playing a G or an A, just holding it down, the bass already knows I'm about to play an A. As soon as I trigger it here, it's bang. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it when you were playing it before?
It was heaps of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a real, rabbit hole. You just get lost in the sounds. It's really fun.
So is that like kind of 5 years into Men Imitating Machines?
Yeah, roundabout. When we first started, I was playing an old Fender Performer bass with my effects.
What's a Performer bass?
It's a Japanese, it's like a P bass, except it's a bit 80s looking. It's like a 1985. Really, really nice bass actually, but it's a bit too thin down this end of the neck for me.
Okay. For a P bass?
Yeah, or it's not really a P bass.
Right, it's got a P bass pickup.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
That's about it. It's really sort of that 80s. But it's a nice bass, a really nice bass.
And you still got that one?
Still have that one.
Okay. So what was the first gig like?
With Men Imitating Machines?
Yeah, I mean...
We played at a warehouse party in Collingwood. I can't remember the date for the life of me, but...
Year?
Probably 08, 07, 08,
Mm-hmm.
around about then. We were pretty raw, pretty rough, but we enjoy it. And
had you done like months and months of rehearsal and stuff? Or?
No. No, unfortunately. We were just, one of our mates invited us to this warehouse party and he's like, oh, just play a couple of songs. We're like, probably should start writing some songs then. Because they knew we were trying to do this live electronic thing and they were pretty interested in it. We're quite fortunate to be involved in a nice arty community who are really supportive of us.
Cool.
So yeah, we've been quite lucky along the years. We've had really nice shows just thrown at us without us having to look for them.
Well, I mean, there's not many people doing what you guys do that I know of around these parts.
Not so much in Melbourne. We're part of a community called Live Electronic Musicians of Melbourne, and the groundswell is definitely there. There's a lot of people getting out there with their synths and guitars and everything, and it's really, that groundswell is happening. And the hybrid between acoustic and electronic stuff, it's coming together. Like if you listen to the top 40, how many rock bands are there?
Not many.
Not that many.
Yeah.
Everything's electronic these days.
But when you go and see the artists live, they have a band.
Yeah.
But it's integrated.
It is all, yeah. And like drummers are triggering pads and triggering the synths and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. Or keyboard, bass players are playing mono synths for half the set.
Yeah. Well, this is why I like this because, like I said before, can't play keyboard to save myself, but I can play bass.
But here's the question. The amount of money you spent on the bass, could have got some keyboard lessons?
I could have. Could have, yes.
Just
Point taken, but no, I love the bass. As yourself, I love playing bass.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what we do.
You can't, it's harder to rock out with a keyboard or even a guitar.
Guitar, no, not a fan.
Yeah, there you go. So what did the writing process look like early on?
A lot of jamming, a lot of put the record on and just stream of consciousness, just do whatever, and then cut up certain sections that we liked and then try and relearn what we played. And
is some of that, from my experience anyway, when I've been programming stuff, like flicking through patches and then going, that's a cool sound?
In the early days, yes, it was. Now we pretty much do sound design ourselves. So we really want to step away from just the preset synth sounds. We're moving more towards making our own sound. And I like sound design, but Matty, that's his thing. He loves it and he's getting really, really good at it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's using FM8. I tend to use Massive and another synth called Diva, which we were talking about before. So we just stick to the 3 synths basically because there's too many. We'd rather just be good at a couple.
So does he have like a V drum kit or is it pads?
Yeah, he's got a what is it? SPD 30 Roland. So it's a little octapad. He's got a snare, got a hi-hat. Pretty simple.
Pretty compact.
Very compact. It's handy for touring.
It's unusual that the drummer has less gear than the bass player.
It is. It's kind of weird. But look, it's good because we can put it all on a plane. We keep it under 30 kilos each. So yeah, we can just jump on a plane and take off when we can.
So how do you, not so much categorise, but how would you describe Men Imitating Machines? What's the modus operandi, for example?
Our catchphrase is live as fuck, because every note that you hear is us playing it. There's no sequencing, there's no backing track.
So there's no pressing play?
There's no pressing play. When we stop, the music stops.
Okay.
In the last sort of 3-4 years, we've been triggering our visuals live as well. That's another story that's quite involved.
Because it wasn't complicated enough.
It was already complicated, but we just wanted to go to that next level of complication. But yeah, over the last 3 years, we've really been concentrating more so on the visual side of the show. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah. And how do you go, how does it translate with 2 guys on stage, obviously, playing instruments? The audience are hearing essentially electronic sounds. It's on one hand kind of DJ-esque in terms of like the effect that you would have on a crowd would be the same kind of goal that a DJ would be going for.
Yeah, my basic philosophy is when I'm writing a song, it's got to be danceable.
Right.
I love people when they're dancing to our music. It's you get off on that kind of thing, really do.
Yeah.
We get a lot of more guys coming and just looking at the gear,
right.
asking lots of questions. How are you doing it? What's this? What's that? But as much as I love talking about it, I'd much rather someone dancing and having a good time.
For sure.
And I feel like if we're having a good time on stage, it generally rubs off on the audience.
Yep.
So yeah, if we're having a great time, we kind of forget about everything else. And
do you get that people kind of going, oh, you guys ever thought about having a singer in?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. We do collaborate with singers from time to time.
Yeah.
But we're really happy being a two-piece.
Yeah.
It's quite easy. Hey Matt, can you jam? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than dealing with 3, 4, 5 people, whatever.
Yeah. And does that give you guys a bit more freedom on stage? Like, is stuff quite improvised and jammy on stage, or is it set?
We do have our song. Like we write a song. When we record it, we stick to it. But when we're playing live, if the audience is bopping away, we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Because we're not locked into that song structure so much.
Tracks or whatever as well.
Yeah. So we do definitely jam on stage a bit. We're kind of limited in the way that we set up the songs. The sounds are sort of almost preset. Our philosophy is we don't want to touch our gear apart from foot pedals.
Mm-hmm.
So the songs are the sounds are there. So we don't really change the sounds too much in the song. But yeah, we still get to jam and probably have 3 or 4 different sounds per song, so I can flick through the pedal.
Okay.
A couple of filters or whatever.
Yeah. And is there melodic content?
Absolutely.
Okay. How does that happen?
Well, both Matty and I do play melodies. Matty basically makes the beats, but he also plays bass lines while I do some lead kind of stuff on the bass.
Okay.
A lot of people.
So does he have the same synths that you have, so you can, it's kind of seamless, it's the same sound, or?
Generally not the same sounds,
right.
But yeah, the same VST synths, definitely. We were lucky enough, we were in Belgium, we met these guys called Hermit Lobby. They are really good at Ableton and really good at Max for Live, which is like a offshoot from Ableton. You can basically, it's a visual programming environment where you can make anything that's in your head. So you come up with a sound idea or a MIDI routing idea, you can do it. So these guys introduced us to that. So we make all these custom little plugins. So I could be playing an E. Instead of just playing an E, we can split that note, make it a G sharp and a F or whatever. You can send those notes to different synths. It's actually gets a bit complicated. We get lost quite often in what we are doing when we're writing. But that's the fun of it, you discover these new things. Like,
you have to love it.
Yeah. Oh, you have to love it. It's so complicated sometimes, but yeah, we do love it.
And in 10 years, technology's changed so much as well, I guess, that
it's just mind-boggling.
Has it gotten easier?
It should be, but we keep choosing the difficult path. So it can be very easy. Like, there's so many good bedroom producers out there now. Like, they're amazing. Some of these kids are just, because they've grown up with the net and grown up with full technology, they just like a duck in water. They're just really good.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about Industrial Radio.
Yep.
And,
okay.
And what? So it's an organic bass. It's obviously jazz bass.
Yep.
Style.
It's got 2 regular pickups. These are humbuckers
Let me get my
disguised.
Close-up camera happening.
So yeah, regulation bass. Volume, tone.
Yeah.
That's a Midi
so
CC.
can we hear just straight bass?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Regular bass.
Regular bass.
Nice pickups. Yeah, like I said, they're humbuckers. But it also has MIDI triggering, which is why I bought the bass.
Yeah.
So essentially, if you can see, the frets are actually split. So instead of being one fret, it's 4 little frets, so 1 per string.
But but it kind of looks like one fret, but it's 4 individual pieces of metal.
It is
really closely together.
So what Steve does with Industrial Radio, he actually cuts the frets. So they were 1 fret.
1 fret.
He cuts them, and there's a whole bunch of secrets under there. Wires, let's just say that. So yeah, if I'm playing that note, it's already knowing what I'm about to play.
So the fret on either side provides some kind of information.
Yes.
Yeah.
So open G.
It does track really well.
And the note will last forever. But yeah, it's a nice bass as a regulation organic bass.
Is it made by Industrial Radio as well?
This particular one was made by a guy in Sydney as a custom build jazz bass. But yeah, they are starting to make their own basses now. They've got a CNC machine. They're cutting their own necks, cutting their own bodies,
Yeah, right.
hand finishing everything. This is called the Pro4. They've got a new one out now which doesn't have the bit of future up here.
So is that just a readout?
It is. So I've got full access to, I don't know if you can see, you can change a whole lot of things.
And so just to change things, you hold down a string on a fret and then flick the switch.
Yep.
And that sends a message to...
Yeah, so my G string is set up to be my different patches or different settings for the bass. I've got 2 different settings.
And how do you... Does this come with some software that you can do all that with?
It does. There's like a app.
Okay.
There's an app. It's just for the Mac at the moment. PC's out pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
More artists just tend to use Macs.
Yeah,
So that's why they've developed the
music,
Mac first. So yeah, you can go in with your mouse. It's more visual than going through the...
And theoretically, you could have something completely different on every fret of every string.
Yep, so you can have each string as a separate MIDI channel, or you can have all 4 as the one channel. And if you do split those, you can have basically a different synth or different sound on each fret.
Wow.
It gets pretty chaotic.
And what's happening at the bridge over here?
So there's individual piezos. I don't know if you can see that little wire in there.
Okay.
So that's like the piezo going back to trigger.
So each string has its own little bridge, essentially?
Yep, it's like a separate bridge, if you can see the gap between the...
Yep.
There's a strain gauge in here for bending. It's actually quite a simple concept, but it is really, well executed.
And this fingerboard is not wood.
No, well, it is. You can see that's a rosewood board, but then there's like a
top.
Plasticky cover that goes on the top. There's routing all down underneath the frets. So there's 4 massive routes underneath. So if we did take one of those bits of plastic off, you'd see the wire that runs up behind the neck there, behind the fingerboard.
And the cable, which freaked me out.
Okay, let me just turn that off. So yeah, this is the way the bass connects to the world.
Which is that? It looks like a monitor. Is it a VGA?
No, it's I don't know what it's called, but it's a 15 pin. As you can see, it's got a regulation jack out. I don't use it. You can get your pickup audio out of that and the MIDI out of that.
And do the piezos have audio as well?
They do, yep.
So you can have
get that nice
jazz bass pickups, piezo pickups.
And the nice tinny piezo sound. Yeah. I tend to not use them. They're just a bit tinny.
Yeah.
But Steve's actually come up with a way of using the piezo pickups with the MIDI, and it gives you a more organic feel of playing the MIDI. So it's like a hybrid between audio and MIDI.
Okay.
Really quite nice. It's called what is it called? Imprint. He's calling it imprint technology. So, as you were playing the bass before, it's kind of a bit on or off kind of feel. You don't get that nice organic feel. But with the imprint technology, you can play it like a regulation bass.
Wow.
And you get all those awesome big fat sounds.
It's pretty close as it is, but just having
it is really good. Like the straight MIDI is I've tried 3 different systems. I've tried the Yamaha, the Roland system, and this.
Yeah.
This is just so far superior to anything else because it's not audio to MIDI. It is direct
as soon
MIDI.
as it comes out.
As soon as it comes out, it's right there.
It's coming out as MIDI or
No,
as VC?
that little black box does all the MIDI conversion. So the one on top there.
Yeah. So what does it come out as? Don't know.
Some sort of digital
Ones and zeros.
ones and zeros.
And then on the back, there's some kind of conversion inside.
Yeah. So behind this plate, there's a big board in there.
Yeah.
Lots of electronics. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can show you some photos.
You should get one that's see-through.
Clear. I've said that to Steve. I said
With
should make this clear. It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
We do it. We do a lot of workshops, like trying to educate people in MIDI, Ableton, and
Okay.
all the visual
Like
side of things.
colleges and that kind of thing, or
Yeah, kind of. We've done a few. We do more overseas than we do in Australia for some bizarre reason. But it's really nice being able to spread the word of what we've actually discovered, and so I like it.
it's part of why I wanted to get you on here as well. Cause
Yeah.
it's a cool. It's one thing to be able to, triggering synth sounds has been around for a while,
a long time. Yeah.
but to make it musical and practical and fun and like not gimmicky
Yeah,
is
and it's
different.
been very rigid for 20, 30 years, and now it's really only the last 10 years, I guess, that you can have a lot of freedom with the electronic kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's my take on it anyway.
And so it leaves the bass and goes down to your pedal board.
The black box, yeah. So that's my MIDI cable out and goes into that MIDI merger. My pedal also goes into that MIDI merger, and then this is out to a computer or a synthesizer if you want a hardware synth.
And so what's the motu for the interface?
That's our sound card. So
the MIDI doesn't go into the sound card first?
No.
The MIDI
You
goes
could.
straight into, it's MIDI to USB.
MIDI to USB, straight into our... This is not what we use live. We use a Mac Pro
Okay.
for live. That's just my laptop. So you can plug straight into an old analog synth if it's got MIDI in.
Okay.
The bass actually performs far superior with a real
Interesting.
hardware synth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're getting a little bit of delay out
From
of your
the
computer.
computer,
You get
yeah.
delay in your sound card.
Yeah.
So if you go straight into
So actually some of the limitations isn't necessarily the bass, it's the whole
other
the other
ancillaries
end
here.
of it. And this is just a controller pedal?
Yeah, so it's no sounds, no effects. This is purely MIDI control.
But they don't charge it accordingly. It's still
No.
expensive to buy.
It is
aren't they?
still expensive to buy.
even
Yeah.
though it's like I'm
Doesn't-
saying, it's like 40-year-old technology.
It is. It's but this is a very solid unit. Like
Yeah.
I stand on this left, right, and centre. It's been around the world 3 times.
Had some beers on it.
Had beer on it. Yes, I've had a few beers spilt. But yeah, it's a great bit of kit. Definitely.
So this is where you used to change patches and manipulate sounds on the fly.
Yep. The way that Men Imitating Machines do the switching, I used to do the change my sounds.
Yep.
Now we have these Max for Live devices where Matt actually changes my sounds for me.
Just
Because if we're jamming away,
Yeah.
I'm never paying attention. I'm like, da da da, and he can just go next bit, and I go, whoa, okay, cool.
Right.
So he's kind of in control of where the song's going as we're playing live.
I guess that way both thing happens at the same time as opposed to you doing it and him not doing it, or vice versa.
We've had many times where I'm like in La La Land and he's like, dude, next section, and I'm like, oh, oops, yeah. So we developed this Max for Live patch where he does all the switching, like verse, chorus.
The Jarman
verse.
encouragement patch.
Yes, I need it. And I use this to switch between songs. So when the song's finished, I hit next song. That changes the Ableton set, and it also changes our visuals as well.
So, what's happening in the computer or in the laptop, essentially? How do you make
That's
it all?
where all the magic happens.
Yeah.
So we use Ableton Live and Resolume, which is basically a way to get your visuals. It's just a grid. Put a video there, put a video there, put a video there. And with Midi, you just trigger that one, or trigger that one.
Okay.
That's a very simplified way of saying it. So yeah, currently we are trying to achieve just 100% our own material. And that's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding.
How do you create video content?
That's a very open question. Basically, at the moment, I'm using a lot of stills. So I'll cut out, I'll take a photo of your face, I'll cut it out in Photoshop, then I'll cut out your lips, try and animate your lips. I use Apple Motion, and yeah, very time consuming.
And that's a learning process?
Always.
Jeez.
Yeah. We've been sort of really concentrating on that in the last 3-4 years. First of all, we just grabbed, YouTube, bang it up. But it gets a bit boring and a bit samey same. So yeah, we went, well, we're an original band. Why don't we have original visual content as well? And
so is it linear, i.e. you start here and you go to the end, or can you...
Yeah, as with our music, we can change to the next section. Visuals will change as well, and we can trigger whatever we want.
So the visuals are kind of like, it would be playing like a loop?
Yeah, so we'll take like a 5 or 10 second video loop that we've made. We'll trigger it, trigger the next loop, we can trigger this one again, and we build up layers of visuals. So we'll have like a base layer, which is kind of like your painting or whatever, and then we can
have
put stuff over the top.
In that world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so have you got like a mascot, like a Men Imitating Machine guy? Like Iron Maiden's Eddie or something?
Well, we've got our little logo.
You've got a little logo thing, right?
Yeah, that's our logo.
Yeah.
We tend to use that a fair bit in the visuals.
Yeah.
It's like kind of our brand, I guess. Yeah, interesting question. Never really, but yeah, I guess we use our brand a bit with the visuals. But it's an ever evolving process. Like we're always, you'll see some bit of art and you go, oh wow, that's really cool, and you'll be inspired by it. You'll try and emulate it, or I'll use that bit, I'll use a bit of that, and I'll in my own brain and meld them together.
Yeah. Well, I was asking you when you came round if you'd heard of Mr. Barrington and Edit Bunker. This drummer Zach Danziger in New York with Owen Biddle. He used to play for The Roots.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they got this thing, and they're essentially doing this very similar stuff.
Yep.
But they kind of do themes, I guess. So they'll maybe have like a movie that they'll cut up and kind of flip between scenes, or be able to trigger sentences and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We use a lot of like words on the screen.
Okay.
So Matt will trigger like a sample that is, hello, how are you? We'll have that on the screen in real time, and we try and match up the audio and the visual, so it's, hello, how are you? Gets a bit chaotic sometimes. Like the actual making it happen is quite difficult, but once it's done, it's done. You don't have to do it again.
It's true. It's a lot of I guess it's kind of, because it's so, like you're saying, you can kind of do anything that's in your brain. Yeah. It's okay. Well, what do I do?
Yeah.
For me, I guess, like, because I'm used to being in much more of a not that world, auditory only. So when you start melding those two worlds together, it's be hard for me to make that jump and kind of be able to put it all together in a way that's cohesive. Yeah,
I visit a lot of art galleries to get inspired. But I do find you get too much inspiration and you kind of go, well, what am I doing? So I tend to go hard on the input into my brain and I put it away. I don't take in any art. I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to do what is in here. So I'll do that for a couple of months, and then I'm like, right, I need some fresh art in my brain. I go out and visit some galleries, or just even I follow hundreds of artists on Facebook or whatever, and I'll turn them off for months, and then I'll turn them back on and see what they're doing, and not necessarily copy, but just be inspired by them. Yeah, and it's working for me so far.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And so then the Mac Pro that's doing the video stuff as well as the audio?
Yes, it's got 2 3 gig video cards in it, so pretty impressive machine. We've only just invested in that in the last 6 months or so. Before that, we built ourselves a Hackintosh. Not that I like it, but that was a super computer. It was just a bit dodgy with the USBs, and they'd always drop out. Yeah. It's not a great look live. When you're playing, audio stops.
Oh, yeah.
Reboot the computer, and like 2 minutes on stage.
Does it go? Ding?
Yeah. And 2 minutes on stage might as well be forever. When you got an audience going, what's going on?
From when it's gone from like banging to nothing.
Luckily, we've only had sort of 2 or 3 incidents where it's dead. And we're kind of comedians, so we just tell a few jokes and muck about with the audience, and people seem to like it.
So do you guys have albums out? Are you signed? Like, what's the...
We are
legacy?
signed to a label called Bit Normal. They were a British-based label, and now we took over the label, actually.
Okay, because you didn't have enough on your plate.
Maddie took it on. So Maddie signed a couple of international and local artists.
Cool.
But it's kind of we've turned it into this kind of collective, so we want to build it up a bit and then pass it on to another artist to sort of run it. That's the plan. We'll see how we go with that.
Okay.
But yeah, we've probably done 5 or 6 EPs.
And does being on the label, has that facilitated the stuff, made it easier, or?
Yeah, it's taken us to Europe 3 times, which has been really like mind blowing. It's like a dream come true, really.
Yeah.
It just gave us a bit more credibility.
For when you're applying for things and
when you're applying for festivals. A lot of countries, when you are entering the country, you actually need to be sponsored by some entity. So the label actually does sponsor us, especially for the UK. You've got to get the right work permits, or you risk you land and they go, no, sorry, bye bye. And if you've booked a tour, you don't want that.
No.
You don't want to be ringing up everyone saying, oh, we're here but we can't play.
Yeah.
So yeah, the label has been really good for us. I mean, what label isn't? It's nice to be on a label.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have been working on an album for probably 3 years, but we just keep putting out EPs.
Just like snapshots of where you're at, kind of thing. And
because we're constantly changing the way we do things, it's almost self-defeating in a way.
Yeah.
We're always looking for the new way of doing things, and it makes it harder each time we discover some new process or something. But that's the enjoyment we get, is actually discovering those new ways of doing things. Do
you sometimes have to check yourself and rebalance the music part of it?
Absolutely. That's
like you could be. I can imagine being down some wormhole and then going, actually, is it going to make the music any better?
Yeah, this is it. Like, you can get caught up in all the technology when the end goal is to produce a good song that people are going to like and dance to, or go, oh, I like that.
Stream.
Yeah, or whatever they do.
Buy.
We did get caught up in technology quite early on and just...
It's kind of like a pendulum.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to put it. It is, you'll spend all this time on developing software or working out some way of doing something that's in your head, and you forget that the goal is the song. So yeah, it's definitely swings technology, song. Yeah. So I guess it's just having that balance.
Yeah.
I think we're on the right path at the moment with that. We're definitely moving more towards more about the art than the tech. I mean, they're so intertwined with most modern music now. But what I'm seeing is everyone's trying to do art really fast and just get it out there. You can see straight through it. I go, it's nice, but it just looks like you put no effort in. Whereas if you see someone who spent, hundreds of hours on 10 seconds of video, you go, that's real art. Someone spent the time and put the effort in. You can see it. You can really see, someone who's put in that effort.
Yeah.
So that's what we're aiming for, is just being a bit more about the art.
And is there some artists that you're kind of drawn, musical artists that you guys have kind of always looked up to, or?
Looked up to, well, Hermit Lobby, they're a Belgian crew. They've actually got an app out now called Playground. And they've essentially come to that from Ableton and Max for Live, and they've taken it to that next step, put it into an app, and you kind of remix the song as you're playing.
Okay.
I'll show you a bit later. It's on the phone. Me personally, I don't now I'm sort of getting on a bit. I don't
distinguished.
Yeah, I don't tend to look up to any artist anymore. Like, I admire artists and really appreciate what they're doing, but I don't have that hero kind of, when you're a teenager, you go, I want to be like that, I want to do that. I'm really trying just to be my own man and do my own thing. If that's my detriment, so be it, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's a great ride so far. Interesting question.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's because we talked a little bit about Square Pusher before.
Yeah.
I saw him in Glasgow, I think maybe about 10 years ago, actually. It was one of the best gigs I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that.
He
had a drummer
off the planet
as well, and he's playing bass, and there was the whole visuals thing going on, and killer bass player.
Yeah, great bass player, isn't he?
So much energy on stage.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've tried that live looping thing, which is really, really popular now, and it's such a great way to build layers of your song. But we just find it doesn't gel with us. So we're just sticking to what we do.
Yeah. Play to your strengths.
Yeah.
And work on your weaknesses.
Don't worry about the weaknesses.
Yeah. So what's next? What's coming up?
We are trying to take a break from gigging, but they just keep coming in and we can't say no, essentially. Working on our debut album, so like a 10-year album in a way. And when we go to Europe next year, we want a whole fresh new set with all fresh new visuals. So we'll have our old set and our new set. That's basically what we're working on.
Pick between, or?
Nah, old, new. Out with the old, in with the new.
Okay.
Yeah. We've changed the way we do our switching and triggering and the way we've been writing songs in the last sort of 12 to 18 months. The old stuff, you just doesn't translate to the new way.
Right.
So we've just decided, no, that's that.
Move on.
Move on. Because you get bogged down, like, it's really quite difficult sometimes. You're working on something, and being a perfectionist, you'll spend hundreds of hours on 2 seconds of audio. No one cares, really. You're the only one that cares. Matty is really good at saying to me, hey, it's done, mate. It's done. Yeah. Let's move on. It's really important.
I guess that, good enough is a dangerous phrase, but sometimes it's
good. You need it.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Big picture.
You got to look at the whole set.
Step back from the canvas.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So, you just mentioned you were looking for a backup potentially for this guy.
Yes. So, Steve.
And would that be with the new piezo?
Oh, I'm going to get another Pro4.
Right, it's the exact same.
Yeah, I'll just get exactly the same bass.
Okay.
Maybe different colour, but yeah.
And so how long has this been around for?
Well, Steve came out with the technology in the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's been refining it ever since. He used to have the audio of the pickups doing the triggering. Then he went to the piezos. He's been talking about going back to the pickups as the triggering. I love and respect Steve so much. He is just, being an engineer myself, I look at his work and I'm just always gobsmacked. He's always coming up with fresh ideas. He'll pursue them. He'll go, didn't work, cool. Next, he's always
never running
out of ideas. He's just always thinking about the future and how we can make this better. So he's basically been developing this for around 30 odd years. And yeah, I have not come across a better MIDI bass. And I've really looked. And yeah, now I'm lucky enough to be an artist with Industrial Radio. So yeah, like I said, go and visit the guys every now and again, hang out and play some of their new gear and whatever they're working on.
Amplification, is that a thing that you use?
I gave up amps 10 odd years ago. Basically straight out of the sound card into DIs and then straight to the desk.
So and then just monitor on stage, or?
Yep, just use the foldbacks. We tend to keep the foldbacks quite low. We use a lot of vocoders, and if you get the feedback into your vocoder mic, it's horrible. So yeah, we tend to keep the monitoring down low. When we're on stage, we can actually talk to each other.
Okay.
It's very low volume on stage. It's nice. It's a nice change.
Okay.
Rather than just being, drums in this ear or.
How does that affect your energy?
We have it to a point where it's still, you get the vibe, but
in general, you never really had any problems with, because you're at the mercy of the engineers then and the in-house system.
Most of everything is pre-mixed because we're all the synth sounds are pretty much there. We send out a left channel and a right channel. Yeah. We just say, look, hard pan that, hard pan your right and left. Yeah. And most engineers just love it because they go, cool. They ride the fader
They
essentially.
just give you some in the fallback.
Yep.
So you're getting stereo stuff, or?
Yeah.
Because in my understanding, a fair number of in-house systems are mono.
We hope they're stereo these days. Most are, like most modern systems, like if you play through a Function 1 PA, you got that nice big sub and then you get those ultra piercing brights. Like, we don't find too many mono systems anymore.
Are you picky with where you play? Like, because it makes a big, if you're kind of relying on it. Yeah,
we try not to be, but some shows are just not worth the effort of. Like, we've invested a lot of money in gear, and we still love playing live. Yeah. But the effort of actually getting to the gig and that, it's just like, well, kind of sometimes not worth it, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're getting a bit more picky, but look, end of the day, I will still play live anywhere. I love it. Yeah. I still love it.
Yeah. And if you could go back 15 years and give yourself a bit of advice, what would that be, do you reckon?
Buy Apple shares. Musically, I actually wouldn't want to change much because it's been a rad journey. Like, we've learned so much over the years, just technology-wise, and we've never really followed. There's been no one to follow, really. We've been inspired by a lot of other acts, but we've never come across anyone who's been doing what we've been trying to achieve. So, we're not trying to emulate anybody or be anything. We're just pushing our own.
Apart from machines.
Yes, we we try and imitate machines. When Matty and I first got together, he was sort of his own entity called Robat Raft, and we started jamming around. We did one show billed as Robat Raft, and then we had the catchphrase, "We are Men Imitating Machines," and then we went, well, just make that our name. So it sort of stuck, and we are 10 years later, still doing it. Yeah. But yeah, our aim is to be like, well into our 80s and 90s and
still doing it.
Still doing it. Wearing our suits. Hopefully I've got another one of these.
Yeah. Do you reckon you would ever kind of go back to being natural?
I would love to. I would love to get myself in a punk band again. Just an old P bass. Plug it into the amp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do miss it sometimes, just that simplicity of it all.
Yeah.
Just one amp, one guitar and
3 notes.
But this, just sonically, you cannot achieve that massive palette with pedals. Like, God knows I've tried. And you get some really cool sounds out of pedals, but then you got this pedal board that's like 4 miles long, and
you got to adjust that little knob, and you
yeah,
got to adjust that
click,
against
click,
the next
click,
song.
click here. And look, I would love to do it all with synths, like hardware synths and old vintage analog synths, but reality is you've got a room full of synths and you can't really tour with the stuff. So we're actually trying to make things, we're trying to reduce the amount of gear that we're carrying around with us. I'm pretty much reduced as much as I can get. I'm sure there's ways, like into the future, something will, things only get smaller with time, which is good.
So, analog pedals that you've had, have you tried the Deep Impact, and you still got one of those?
Nope. One of my mates, Chris Shepperson in the UK, he 2013 we were there, and I had to go. I'm like, wow, this thing's really, really cool. But I'd already sort of moved on from pedals. I've still got all of my pedals that I've had right back from the sort of late 80s, early 90s, and early 2000s, whatever.
There's a new version of the Deep Impact called the Future Impact.
Okay, I've not seen that.
Made by, I think it's Red Panda. All the things you would expect, much better tracking, music control and kind of stuff. It's pretty cool.
I mean, look, my favourite bass is still my Stingray, and I do get it out every now and again, and I still do have an amp at home. I plug it in and play away, and I love it. But yeah, for Men Imitating Machines, it's just not the sound we're after. We're after that synth, or electronic.
You got to fill the speakers. We
do, I still love jamming with the acoustic drums. Nothing will beat that ever in my mind.
Because there's something there is a weird disconnect. I did a gig the other night, and it was V drums, and the only sound of the drums coming from front of stage is just
it's a bit strange.
It's
isn't
strange because you're so used to it coming from wherever, like behind you kind of thing. That is when the drummer hits it, like that's the sound that you get. But when it's coming from the speaker, and it doesn't, especially when it's trying to sound like organic drums, different if it's what you guys are doing.
We were trying to be fully electronic, just using real instruments, I guess you could. If this is real, I mean it's a real bass, but it's just got that added extra MIDI that I do love. But nothing in my mind will ever beat just jamming with a drummer, being a bass player. It's almost like a conversation you're having,
Well, I think that's essentially still the DNA of all that you guys do, right?
We're still, like, Matty's an excellent drummer, and we're musicians. That's our primary role, is we are musicians. But we just got all this other technology that enhances, I guess, our musicianship.
Sure. Awesome. So where's best for people to kind of check out Men Imitating Machines? And
you can follow us on Facebook. Just look up Men Imitating Machines, or we've got a website, menimitatingmachines.com. Look, we play in Melbourne every month or so. Or if you're in Europe, we'll be in Europe in 2019.
Nice.
But menimitatingmachines.com.
And
lots of links.
The Melbourne Live Electronic Musician.
Melbourne Musicians. Hang on. It changed its name. It used to be called Non-DJ, Electronic Non-DJ. I can't remember. But it's quite a little good community there that it's sort of groundswell in the last 2-3 years. Because I'm seeing more and more acts just bringing in computers or bringing in synths, and that whole analog synth vibe is just, it's everywhere. Everyone loves it. Who doesn't? Like, that analog synth sound through a massive PA, it's awesome, that big wall of sound. I mean, you can achieve it with a regulation band, but it's a lot harder.
I guess another band that recent times I can think of, also Australian, maybe Pendulum.
Yes, from Perth. I love them. I think they're in London now, living in UK based.
I think the bass player was running like a dual, a split rig, so he had like one natural thing and then one. And
the drummers triggering all.
It worked.
It does. They're real, and they're great songwriters. Like, they just, really good. But yeah, other artists that I really like is a Norwegian guy called Ampro. We've become really good friends. He actually came to meet us in England the first time we went there. He flew from Norway just to see us. So we ended up inviting him onto one of our shows. And we've become really good friends in the last sort of couple of years.
Cool.
But yeah, like I said earlier, I don't really listen to a lot of
Yeah.
modern music anymore. I'm more interested in visual arts now.
And incorporating that.
Yeah, like I drive around to classical music because otherwise I get angry on the road. So just like that, ABC Classic FM is what I listen to when I'm driving. Get a bit old.
Kids these days.
Yeah. But look, growing up, I loved metal. I loved punk, and then remember a band Infectious Grooves? I did that sort of punk funk. Once I heard that, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I want to do. I love funk. I love the punk. I'm like, yep, that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
And yeah, from there, just electronica just sort of fell in my lap. Never made it before this band, really. I mean, I had a copy of Fruity Loops on
I guess it's, essentially it's just it's a tonal palette as opposed to a specific genre that you guys are doing, essentially.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to define our genre. Like people, when you first meet them, they're like, I'm in a band. Oh yeah, what sort of stuff do you play? And it's like, well, how long have you got? Because it's not...
Because it's not like EDM in the modern sense of the word.
No.
It's like 4 on the floor kind of thing.
No. And because we're so free, like we're not bound to 120 BPM for the song. We can slow right down or speed it up or change sections or whatever, which I really love having that freedom within a song.
Yeah. Do you guys have a YouTube channel?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah, if you search us,
I'll put stuff in the link in the.
Yeah, all the links are on our website too.
Alright,
cool. Yeah, it's the website's just a whole nother mindfuck. Constantly updating, constantly changing. But for me, our live show is like the primary thing that we want to do. Not really fussed about releases or trying to sell stuff online. Just we're all about that live show. I feel that's our biggest asset.
Well, that's the thing that's never going to be replaced.
No.
I think.
No. And we've found, like, with our recordings, we can't translate that live feel in a recording. We've tried, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
One day we might.
Volume,
yeah. But we've stopped playing to a click track when we're recording. We just go totally free flow.
As you would do live.
Yep. And the tracks are starting to sound a bit more fluid and better in my mind, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder when you're trying to cut things up and do the editing or whatever, but we are just going, okay, start song, end of song, that's it, done.
Maybe some kind of live album?
Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're thinking the visuals, you could probably record the visuals.
We've had the idea of actually making our film clips live. So we're triggering the film clip and making the film clip sort of happen real time. Yeah.
So you record the audio and the video separately and then
stick them together. Yeah. Yeah, totally. We would love to do it. It's just time. Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. It's a bit of a rabbit hole.
Yeah, man. Well, I better let you get back to your...
Yeah, get back to my real life.
Get back to your real life. Which is?
I am a biomedical engineer by trade. I work for a rather large corporation in my real life, which I really do enjoy. It's very rewarding. I'm in healthcare, so it's helping people, essentially, real patients.
There you go. Awesome, man. Well, thanks very much for coming around.
That's great.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Jarman Donohue, everybody.